I've been using ChatGPT pretty much every day for a while now, and it's one of those pieces of tech that feels like it's genuinely shifting things. Welcome back to Flinto File, where curiosity meets knowledge. We've all seen the headlines, the hype, the hot takes. It's either the best thing ever or the beginning of the end. But like with any new tool, the reality is usually somewhere in the middle, a little more nuanced. It's not just about what it can do, but what it should do, and where the lines are. Today we're diving into the top 10 strengths and weaknesses of ChatGPT, the AI tool that's taking the world by storm. We're going to break it down piece by piece, looking at the clean, impressive wins and the not-so-great, sometimes frustrating limitations. This isn't just a list, it's a deep dive into how this technology actually works in the real world, for real people. It's about understanding the tool in your hands or on your screen so you can use it effectively. Whether you love it, fear it, or just wonder what it can really do, you'll want to stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where ChatGPT shines and where it falls short. We'll cut through the noise and give you the straight facts, the real-world use cases, and the things you absolutely need to watch out for. Let's get into it. All right, first up on the strength side, and this is a big one, is its sheer versatility. The knowledge base here is just vast. You can ask it to explain quantum computing in simple terms, and it will. Then, in the very next prompt, you can ask it for a vegan lasagna recipe, and it'll give you a pretty decent one. It's like having a subject matter expert on call for literally thousands of different topics. This breadth is what makes it such a powerful starting point for almost any query. Think about the practical applications. A student can get help with a history essay. A programmer can debug code. A marketer can brainstorm slogans. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't get annoyed with your endless questions, and it can switch contexts instantly without missing a beat. The real magic happens when you start combining these fields, creating a huge catalyst for creativity and learning. As a general-purpose knowledge engine, it's incredibly impressive. For every major strength, there's usually a corresponding weakness, and this one is the flip side of that vast knowledge base. The information isn't always current. The standard versions of ChatGPT have a knowledge cutoff date. That means if you ask it about major world events, the latest smartphone release, or the winner of last night's game, it's probably going to draw a blank. This limitation is super important to understand because it creates a blind spot. In a world that moves as fast as ours, being a year or two out of date can be a massive deal. Think about trying to get advice on financial markets, the latest software updates, or recent scientific breakthroughs. The information it gives you might not just be incomplete, it could be actively misleading because the context has completely changed. So the key takeaway here is to be acutely aware of what you're asking. For anything that requires up-to-the-minute information, you cannot treat it as a primary source. Let's talk about a strength that everyone can appreciate: speed. ChatGPT is an incredible productivity multiplier. It can take tasks that would normally take hours and condense them down to minutes. I'm talking about the first draft of an email, a blog post, a report, or even a video script. It's not about replacing the human element, but about getting you from a blank page to a 70 or 80% solution almost instantly. For anyone who creates content, writes code, or communicates for a living, this is a game changer. You can throw a single idea at it and ask for 10 different angles, a list of pros and cons, or a mind map of related concepts. This rapid ideation process allows you to explore more possibilities and refine your best ideas faster than ever before. It frees up your mental bandwidth to focus on the parts of the job that require uniquely human skills. Ultimately, it's a tool that helps you reclaim your time. Okay, this next weakness is a subtle but potentially dangerous one. I call it confident inaccuracy. ChatGPT has a tendency to present information, even when it's completely wrong, with the same authoritative and confident tone it uses when it's correct. There's no built-in, "I'm not so sure about this" filter. It doesn't hedge its bets. It will state a falsehood with the conviction of a university professor, and that's where things can get tricky. This phenomenon is often referred to as hallucination in the AI space. The model isn't lying in the human sense. It's essentially just predicting the next most plausible word in a sequence, to form a coherent sounding sentence. Sometimes that process leads it to generate text that sounds perfectly reasonable but is factually incorrect. The danger here is that it's incredibly convincing. This next strength is one that becomes more apparent the more you use it: its ability to adapt. ChatGPT, especially within a single conversation thread, can learn and mimic your style, tone, and preferences. If you start a conversation using formal language and complex sentences, it will tend to respond in kind. If you're more casual, use slang, or prefer short, punchy answers, it will adjust its output to match. This makes the interaction feel much more natural and personalized. For example, if you're a writer, you can feed it a sample of your work and then ask it to generate new text in your voice. It can pick up on your vocabulary, your sentence structure, and your overall cadence. While it's not a perfect replica, it can get surprisingly close, which is incredibly useful for creating consistent content. This adaptability extends to instructions and formatting. You can give it a set of rules at the beginning of a conversation, and it will remember and apply those constraints to subsequent responses. Now for a more philosophical but very real weakness: the lack of genuine emotion and consciousness. ChatGPT can be incredibly good at simulating emotion. You can ask it to write a sad poem, a joyful story, or an angry rant, and it will use all the right words and sentence structures to convey that feeling. It has learned from trillions of words of human text what empathy, sadness, and happiness look like on the page, but it doesn't actually feel any of it. This is a crucial distinction. It's an incredibly sophisticated pattern-matching machine, not a sentient being. The empathy it shows is a calculated response, an echo of the human emotions it has processed from its training data. This can be problematic when you're looking for genuine connection or nuanced emotional understanding. In conversations about sensitive personal topics, its responses can sometimes feel hollow, generic, or slightly off-key. Okay, so this next strength is simple, straightforward, but honestly it's incredibly powerful in its implications. ChatGPT is always on. It never sleeps, never takes a vacation, never calls in sick. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, accessible from, well, pretty much anywhere with an internet connection. This constant availability completely changes the dynamic of when and how work can get done. Inspiration doesn't always strike between 9 and 5, and neither do problems. Think about the global implications for a second. For international teams working across different time zones, it's a massive advantage. A developer in California can leave a complex problem for the AI to work on at the end of their day, and a colleague in India can pick up the refined solution when their day begins. It acts as a constant asynchronous collaborator that bridges time gaps and keeps projects moving forward around the clock. This 24/7 access is also a huge benefit for individuals. All right, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the ethical concerns. This is probably the most complex and debated weakness of ChatGPT and AI in general. The technology is so powerful and developing so quickly that it's raising some very serious questions about its impact on society. These aren't just technical limitations, they're deep societal challenges that we are only just beginning to grapple with. First and foremost is the concern about job displacement. Tasks that were once the domain of human writers, analysts, customer service agents, and even paralegals can now be automated to some degree. While some argue that AI will create new jobs, there's a legitimate fear that the transition could be painful, leading to widespread unemployment for those whose skills are most easily replicated by the technology. This is a massive economic and social issue with no easy answers. Then there's the problem of misinformation and misuse. We've already talked about how the AI can be confidently wrong, but what happens when it's used maliciously? This next strength is one that truly highlights the global reach of this technology, its multilingual capabilities. ChatGPT isn't just fluent in English, it can understand and generate text in a huge number of different languages, from Spanish and Mandarin to French, German, Japanese, and many, many more. This ability to break down language barriers is a massive step forward for global communication and accessibility. It's not just a feature, it's a bridge between cultures. The practical applications of this are immense. A business can use it to provide customer support to a global audience without needing to hire native speakers for every single language. A researcher can use it to get a quick, high-quality translation of a foreign academic paper, opening up access to a world of knowledge that was previously locked behind a language barrier. It makes cross-cultural collaboration easier than ever before. You can have a conversation with it, switching between languages, and it will often follow along seamlessly. And finally, we come to our last weakness, which is also a skill you can master. ChatGPT is completely dependent on the quality of your prompts. The old computer science adage, garbage in, garbage out, has never been more true. The AI doesn't have its own intent or initiative. It won't know what you really want unless you tell it clearly. A vague, lazy prompt will almost always result in a vague, generic, and unhelpful response. This is a weakness because it places the entire burden of directing the AI onto the user. You have to learn how to speak its language, a skill often called prompt engineering. This involves being specific, providing context, defining the desired format, and clearly stating the goal of your request. Many new users get frustrated with the tool, thinking it's not very smart, when in reality, they just haven't given it enough information to work with. It's like giving a brilliant chef a random assortment of ingredients and saying, make food. Ache. So there you have it. The top 10 strengths and weaknesses of ChatGPT. As we've seen, it's a technology of dualities. It's a massive knowledge base, but it can be out of date. It's an incredible productivity booster, but it can be confidently wrong. It's a powerful tool that can adapt to your style, but it lacks any real emotion and is entirely dependent on how you guide it. It's this balance of incredible capability and critical limitations that defines the current state of AI. It's an incredible tool that can supercharge productivity, but like all technology, it's not perfect. It's not something to be feared, but it's also not something to be trusted blindly. The key is to approach it as a smart, capable, but flawed collaborator. Use it wisely, double-check facts, and you'll get the best out of it.